As we are about to start our study today, and we start with a message from the book Christian Agenda by the Spirit André Luiz. Redeeming Principles. Do not forget that God is the central theme of our destinies. Desire the well-being of others as much as you desire it for yourself. Come to terms quickly with your adversaries. Respect your neighbor's opinion. Avoid disagreeable disputes. Lend without expecting restitution. Give your assistance in good works gladly. Do not worry about slanderers gladly. Do not worry about slanderers. Thank your enemy for the value he ascribed to you. Help children. Do not abandon the old and the sick. Where benefits are concerned, think of yourself last. Apologize sincerely. Criticize no one. Strengthen out your own defects before correcting those of others. Use faith and good judgment. Learn to sow that you may reap a good harvest. Do not expect grapes from the thorn bush. Free yourselves from the weight of excessive conventionality. Cultivate simplicity. Talk as little as possible about yourself and your problems. Stimulate the noble qualities of your companions. Work for the good of all. Value time. Organize your work knowing that each day has its obligations. Do not be anxious. Serve everywhere with detachment. Be happy, just, and grateful. Never impose your point of view. Remember that the world was not made only for you. Social sciences of today present this principle as being new. However, they are ancient, having come to earth with Christ almost 20 centuries ago. But we, who are slow to comprehend, are even slower in applying them. And in that way, we start our meeting today. In this ambient, prepared by the benefactors, the Enlightened Spirits, who are helping humanity, ourselves and all of those in the Spirit who are with us, to study the natural principles in the universe, the natural laws in the universe. And in this ambient where we find ourselves, surrounded by those who really love us and inspiring us, may we choose to calm our minds and hearts, and as immortal beings, learn us of ourselves, learn us in the world, to open us, to put ourselves in a receptive mood so that we can learn new concepts, change the old ways of thinking, as we choose freely to upgrade our values, our belief systems, and sincerely try to understand a bit more about the dissatisfaction with life and about suicide. We ask our dear Master Jesus, the governor of earth, to embrace and involve every and each one of us here, as we are about to reflect on this deep subject of life. Why do we become dissatisfied with life? Why do we, as immortal beings, essentially beings of love, light, and goodness, consider the ideas of suicide, as we do understand that we are immortal? We are not a physical body. We are immortal beings, created by God, with love, in order for us to learn to love ourselves through the laws of reincarnation, as we are, through the mercy of God, allowed to come back to the school earth, to learn, to evolve, to progress. Every challenging moment and experience is a possibility for renewal. And with that in mind, with the blessings of the enlightened beings who are with us here, helping all of us, opening our hearts and minds, as learners, we start our study today. So be it. May we all feel welcome in this unique opportunity in our lives to carry on our studies about the Spirit's book, which brings the teachings of the natural laws in the universe, presented in a different way by the Enlightened Spirits. We are here reflecting on the fourth part of the Spirit's book, the chapter Hopes and Consolations. Hopes and consolations helps us to understand ourselves, the experiences in life from a transpersonal perspective, and also bringing hope to our hearts when we are facing losses, when we are facing difficulties, when we are facing challenges. Understanding all of those experiences, actually, they are motivating us to evolve and progress, renewing our ways how we address the experiences. And consolations. Consolation means that addressing ourselves as immortal beings, whatever good and right we do on earth at present, even if we are not recognized now, we will sooner or later be recognized by God. And that is quite consoling, knowing that we came back with the duty to evolve and to progress in goodness, cultivating the virtues. So let us always focus within ourselves in relation to God. Then it's better for us to go through on the human level as we are experiencing the new experiences. In that way, we carry on today on the subtitle, Dissatisfaction with Life, Suicide. We finished last week on the question 948. Just for us to situate ourselves, I read the question so that we can carry on moving into the next one, which the question 948 says, is suicide committed in order to escape the shame of a wrongful act as reprehensible as suicide committed out of despair? So we have been reflecting about this question last week, and we commented about if the suicide, which is, or the idea considering suicide out of shame, or if it committed some wrong act within the laws in the universe, if that would be reprehensible as suicide committed out of despair. And then we learned from the enlightened beings that suicide is always a wrong option that we may choose despite of any situation that we face, merely because suicide goes against the natural laws in the universe, which is to preserve life. And the natural laws in the universe are God's laws. Within that in mind, we carry on then today on the question 949. And the question says, is suicide excusable when committed in order to avoid bringing shame on one's children or family? We see within this topic, dissatisfaction with life, suicide, Allan Kardec asks different questions for us when we are on earth, incarnated, relating to different aspects. Quite often, previously was shame and wrongful act, and now is referring to avoiding bringing shame on one's children or family. These examples we do have on earth, actually, they do happen these days. So let's see what the enlightened spirits are telling us here. They teach us, those who act under this belief do not good at all. However, they think they do, and God will take their intention into account, for their suicide will be a self-imposed expiation. If we go through gradually, let's explore the first part of it. First, how do we understand the question? Is suicide excusable when committed in order to avoid bringing shame on one's children or family? So the question is referring, would it be okay? Yes. If it would be okay to consider or commit some excuse, otherwise if there would be a reason, if you would consider this situation. Okay. Is suicide excusable? Is it okay to commit suicide in order to avoid bringing shame to children or family? Which examples do we have?
For me, come to my mind that the pedophiles.
Pedophiles, correct? Yes. Robbery, sometimes, could also be, which is very in evidence these days.
I think on the time that was wrote, if you don't have money as well, I think it would be like a shame for the family to not provide.
Okay, so perhaps if my social or professional situation changes suddenly, I lost my job, I was in a very high position, and then I cannot cope psychologically, emotionally with that because my financial income will reduce, and that makes changes to the children and the family, and I may feel ashamed or may find it difficult. Other examples that we have currently here on earth that brings shame or family to one's children or family.
I think even the case of homosexuality is still
we still are in this ignorant state of mind, which for some people can be very challenging. They don't feel safe to talk about, to be honest about, and then they consider suicide in order to finish this problem, which will not finish, of course.
You have one sick, for example, cancer, I want to anticipate it. My go back to the spiritual world. If I have cancer, I go to die anyway.
I think here is what brings shame to one's children or family. It's different, that's what means shame. I think one of the aspects that we still may face on earth, correct me if I'm wrong, but is when, what is the word that I'm looking for, when you're not loyal in a relationship, when you are dishonest. How do you say? It's not dishonest, it's a different word. Help me to think about it. When you are unfaithful. Sometimes that also, because the shame that comes as a consequence from children or family, that could also, we may enter these experiences in an immature way, and when the consequences may come out in the public, because it involves our children, it involves our family, we may also consider that. Okay? So now when we go through what the Enlightened Spirit says at the beginning, what do we learn from that? Those who act under this belief are not good at all. Why not?
Because the problem would not finish with their death.
Precisely. So my shame or mine, whatever difficulty that I bring, will not finish in considering committed suicide because I'm not a physical body. The causes of my difficulties are not on the physical level, they are on the perispirit, which is the spiritual body. And if I kill my body, I carry on alive and I carry on with the same problem, and plus all the guilt and difficulty of committing suicide, which is the greatest act against God. Yes, the greatest. Sorry?
You increase your
I increase, and yes, it will be even worse later on, because I also need not only to face my previous difficulties as a being who is in evolution, but also to deal with the consequences of this act of irresponsibility. And then they carry on. However, they think they do, and God will take their intention into account, for their suicide will be a self-imposed expiation. What comes to our minds now when we carry on? They think they do. What do we learn from that?
In many situations, we let our illusions of the material world take over our knowledge and what we bring within us from previous existences. And we let the situation of the moment take over our rationality, and we believe we're doing something for the best. Like if I have robbed someone and I'm about to be discovered, if I'm married and I had been unfaithful and I'm pregnant with another man's child, I may think it's better to kill myself instead of letting everyone find out what is happening.
So instead of learning to be in favor of life, I choose to go against life, isn't it?
Yeah. I choose to rebel and to hide from myself, because I won't be facing others. I will be facing my own self. I will be facing my own choices and dealing with the situation according to my principles, the ones that I have broken to myself. And sometimes it's very hard to face yourself, because when you look at your shadows, they seem much bigger than you. And if you don't think on a life on a broader perspective, then you think you are smaller than your shadows. And you have to bring up to your mind and try to be conscious that life is more than what we live here now. I am more than just this small shadow in front of me.
So why are we more than our own shadows, even if they are very huge? But why do we say that we are more than that?
Because we have the law of God inside our.
Because we are children of God. We have been created by God with love, and we carry on loved by God. That is the major reason that we are much bigger, essentially, than the shadows that we temporarily may be facing. Even knowing that we created their own shadows, their own difficulties, as learners of ourselves as we are. But God is not here to judge us or to blame us. God is here to inviting us through love to learn, forgive, and move on always. And when they say also, they think they do, are they also referring in relation to our intentions? When we see this little phrase, when they say, however, they think they do, it's because our intentions, which are based on our values, and our values change as we evolve, as more as our values are based on a materialistic lifestyle, we think that is a good idea to do it, okay, through our ignorance, through our immaturity, and then we carry on. And God will take their intention into account. Of course, the child who is younger is one level of, let's say, responsibility. The one who knows much more is a different level of responsibility. For their suicide will be a self-imposed expiation. What do we learn?
I think that is the hardest part to deal with when one commits suicide, because once you give in to your weaknesses and you don't go through with life, and you rebellious point to take out your life, and you succeed in that, you find yourself alive and facing all the challenges you've been facing before, but with the difference that you have no body, you're not here, you are in a parallel space, time, being the same and living the same situation without a way out.
Yes, and also in a situation in the spiritual world, because I'm without my physical body, I'm no longer on earth. In order through the physical body, carry on with doing my lessons now. Now I need to learn to be patient and tolerant with myself, learn to be humble, and wait the will of God for the next existence, that I can redo my own wrongs. But I can carry on study in the spiritual world if I'm without the physical body. There's nothing to do there. Only what I need to do to face my own testimonies on earth that I cannot do. But I study in order to fortify myself spiritually, I can carry on doing in the spiritual world. To help others, I can also do in the spiritual world, which will fortify myself more. So there's always ways that we can help ourselves. The wrong is mitigated by their intention, but it is a wrong nonetheless. Besides, if you would get rid of your social prejudices and abuses, you would not have any more of these type of suicide. What are the spirit benefactors telling about us?
I believe as a society, we all have a part to play in everyone's suicide. Although if the person that make that choice and do that action, they are in so much pain and so much despair that anyone on a side could have made a difference. A word, an action, anything could have made a huge difference. But we go by each other every day without noticing anyone who passes by or any challenge anyone is going through, because we are so inside ourselves and trying to conquer things and try to become more than someone else and try to be more important, that we don't value what we are and what others are. And once we don't do that, we play the part as well in everyone's miseries. We bring that misery to ourselves and we share it with others, because I think the atmosphere we create with our minds and thoughts, that goes around and it becomes bigger with everyone in the same thing.
So what is the theory behind this kind of reasoning? Are we right?
This comes from love, I think.
Are we right to say that is the materialistic viewpoint, which is still reinforced selfishness? Yes, and following your reasoning, that is what is behind. So if you know the cause, and we cannot change others, but we are part of the society and the collective changes through the change of the individual, so what do we need to learn?
I believe what is hardest to learn is learning that we are creatures of God.
I think the first thing that we need to learn is that we are immortal beings. Because the society in general is not teaching that to us. Yeah. So we ourselves, we bring the power back to us in terms of responsibility, because we are here exactly to cooperate, to change the collective paradigms through our own individuality, to learn about ourselves, that we are not the physical body, we are immortal beings, we are spirits, and we are temporary on earth. And sooner or later, we will free ourselves from here. And what is the purpose for us to come back to earth? Within the school of Spiritism, we learn that earth is a school that we, children of God, come back in order to conquer more values in relation to spirituality, which is the real purpose in our lives, to help ourselves and to help others. That we are no longer this selfish way of living, because that brings pain for ourselves. That leaves us in a weak situation, psychologically, emotionally, therefore morally, when we face deep charging experiences. But as immortal beings, we face different experiences already. We still will face many others throughout different existences. But what counts now is here and now. What is the universe presented to each one of us that we can help? Maybe not disturb the society in order to want to change there. Maybe start the change within. And as we do it within, we naturally engage around where we are, either in our families, in our workplaces, in the communities where we are. And then it's almost like it spreads. It becomes contagious as we carry on. Yes? Because this kind of learning, this kind of understanding will never be possible to do through the imposition of values.
It is a very hard work to do, to help ourselves to understand that and help others to understand that. Because up to now, I think we all believe things come within impositions. When we try to understand, we are co-creators, we are eternal, we've been created for all the beauty and with all the power, and then we create our shadows and we create our desires, and we come here to learn to be free from them. But once we are here, the idea of learning the virtues fade away, and we lose ourselves in the shadows we created for us and the desires. And I think the more we lose ourselves in the pain and in the illusions, more we get far away from our purpose, and the harder it becomes. So for us to start looking at it in a different way and accepting that we are eternal, we don't belong here. We came here for a purpose, and even if I don't understand that purpose now, what is the best I can do with what I can choose? Because even if I don't believe in anything, even if I don't believe in God, I don't believe I am His, loved by Him, that I'm being created for something good, I can choose to believe in something better and do my best.
Or even choose to do good.
Choose to do good. Because even that, with every small step I make, it makes a huge difference. And slowly, things are becoming less heavy, less cloudy for me to be able to understand a bit more. So I think in that way is when we can help others as well around us.
And it is a challenging process for all of us, even for the benefactors, especially here in Europe. I don't know if you did have time to watch Maisa's talk that I sent to you and shared with you. She's touching on that. The new phase now, there are new spirits coming to Europe now, because here we are still very materialized and crystallized in the materialistic viewpoint. And that is part of the changing process. We can do that already without expecting some special beings to come back. This is why we are here before they come back again, helping. But yes, in Europe, there's still the old world, as we tend to say from the spiritual perspective, there's still a lot of work to be done on a spiritual level. And we are invited to cooperate with Enlightened Spirits. Okay, have you finished this one? So let's move on then the next one. The next is the note regarding the question 949. Barbara, would you like to read it, please?
Those who take their own life in order to escape the shame of a wrongful act prove that they attach more value to the estimation of others than to that of God, because they will return to the spirit life burdened with their iniquities and will have deprived themselves of the means of atoning for them during life. God is often less unforgiving than people. God pardons those who sincerely repent and takes into account our efforts at reparation. However, suicide does not repair anything.
Okay, let's explore about Allan Kardec's note regarding question 949. When we heard it, what came to us? How do we understand? What are we taking as learnings from this note?
For me, come in mind that we still think we have faith, but we're not. We say we believe in God, but when we do something, we're looking for others in earth and not through the eyes of God.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a long time ago, and we're still doing it. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hurts.
So could we say is a wake-up call for all of us?
Yes.
So that we wake up spiritually in terms of seeking the approval of God and not mankind. Because usually when we seek the approval of mankind, we are not seeking the approval of God. Because sooner or later we are out of the physical body, the other people around us are no longer with us, and our consciousness is referring in relation to God. So we need to shift ourselves internally. Where is our focus? Where is our main focus of life? Yeah? Then, and also as more as we study about the natural laws, and here we are discussing about the dissatisfaction of life and suicide. If I'm dissatisfied with life as an immortal being, I may choose to find out what are the causes that I'm so dissatisfied. Because that is precisely what I came to overcome within myself. That could either be through a pathway of spirituality, because usually the different paths of spirituality, they are helping humanity to explain that. Because they are all helping us to motivate ourselves, to be stronger, to believe in ourselves, to believe in goodness. Or also we can ask for professional people who can help us to understand ourselves. Because I repeat again, dissatisfaction with life means that we are empty in real values internally. We are more connected on the external agents, and that sooner or later will bring this emptiness within. And when they say suicide, because we may consider that, what is the point of life? I don't have any meaning. I don't have any purpose in my life. What's there to look forward? So we need to go back to the cause within, because a lot of us, humanity, already committed suicide in previous existences. So we need to look the roots of that we don't reinforce it again. We came back and we have been prepared to value life in this existence. Doesn't matter all the struggles. We are all struggling, we are all learning. But we came back to value life, to respect life, and to learn through life.
I think that is what we need to bring up to ourselves all the time the value of life and not really seek acceptance or validation from others in earth or from God even. Because before it was really hard for me when I'm bringing the acceptance of God, that God loves me, and for me to accept that I'm loved by God or that love can forgive me when I couldn't forgive myself. And then that will bring me into believing that God is the guilty of my existence and that everything that happens to me is in His hands, is in His powers. And the pain I may go through, it's because He wishes so, not because I made my wrong choices on the path I created for myself. But I make everything else that exists with me God's wishes, God's doing. And when I see in that way, then life becomes nothing. Life becomes unvaluable.
Yes.
Because if God can do that to me, then I can kill myself even to punish Him, because I'm going against His wishes.
If I don't have the life that I want, I don't want the life that He gives.
That I'm living, yeah. And even if I already committed suicide in earth and I'm in the spiritual world, I may still looking for a way of stopping my existence, even in there, because I choose not to exist because I'm rebelling against God. And that will never bring me anywhere farther. You just bring me more pain and more distress.
And it's impossible to live that reality. It is an illusion. We are running away from ourselves.
Yes.
And that as more as we do it, more uncomfortable, more dissatisfied we become. Because God is love. As more as we surround ourselves to the natural laws that come from God, we connect the love within. And we find reasons to live. We find experiences that helps us to overcome. If we cannot do it alone, always bear in mind, we always have support, either in the flesh or either is the spirits.
Yes.
We always have
support.
support.
We bring into our conscience that I'm not running or hiding from others or from God. I'm doing it from my own self.
Yes.
And then once I realize that, I find a bit more strength to try and face it. Because I can't hide from me. I may be able to think I can hide from God somewhere, somehow, but if I bring to my understanding that I'm not hiding from Him, I'm hiding from my own self, then I will find a way to fight back this kind of force. Because and to find the love that is waiting for me.
Yes, we realize that all lies lack foundation. Yes? All lies lack foundation. And then when we realize that, either through saturation, either through pain, or perhaps even through the invitation through love, we choose now to dismask ourselves and be more simple and more honest with ourselves. That for itself, the humbleness of the heart, makes the experiences lighter. Yeah? Okay. Where were we? Did we go to the end? Yes? Okay. Then now let's move on to the question 950. Claudia, read it for us, please.
What is to be thought of those who take their own life in the hope of arriving sooner at a better life?
Can we see that Allan Kardec, through this sub-item, dissatisfaction with life and suicide, each question refers to a different aspect, how we try to commit suicide on earth. He is exploring and helping us to eliminate the situations. What is this question now referring to?
Today's spiritual world that we think maybe we need to go back early and not stay here to do what we compromise for ourselves.
Okay.
So maybe you're suffering because when we're here we forget everything we did.
Okay.
So we come and it's struggling too much and we think, okay, I'm mortal being, so maybe I go back early and try again.
Okay. What else? What other reasons are that we may consider to take our own life in the hope of arriving sooner at a better life? When the question refers to in the hope, what comes to our minds?
We are wishing that we can get favors, or that God gives some people fortunates, or I'm escaping the word, privilege.
Yes.
So we haven't got this time. Maybe I can go back and get the privileges that others have. I don't need to do any struggle. I don't need to make any efforts. I can just give up and go back and ask again.
Okay, do we also have on earth certain beliefs in certain groups of people, or especially on a fanatism level, who do preach this?
Like a paradise.
Like a paradise. If I do kill myself, I go back to the paradise. And all of us incarnates of those in the spirit is vital that we understand that paradise does not exist. It is an illusion. It does not correspond to the law of love. So we need to reflect and learn with the spirits as we carry on doing now, as they carry on teaching us and saying, none other follow. Let them do good, and they will be sure to reach such a state. Their suicide will only delay their entrance into a better world, and they themselves will ask to come back in order to complete the life that they cut short through a wrong-headed idea. A wrong, no matter what it may be, never opens the sanctuary of the elected to anyone. What do we learn here now? If we perhaps may consider, people consider to end the life in order to go back to the spiritual life, which would be better. Why is it not better? Let's explore. When the spirits say another folly, another lie. Yeah?
First, because we go against the law of God, that we kill ourselves is not what God's will. So, and you're going to suffer. So we're going to ask to come back again. So
okay. So the first question, because the spirits refer to a better life, yeah? Better life, could you also understand, as I mentioned, examples and others that you mentioned, that we are seeking happiness? Then the question would be, which kind of happiness are we as immortal beings seeking?
There is many of them, but I think one that is more related to suicide is the peace, the freedom from pain, freedom from desperation. Because in any way or any side of society, you can find this despair, and you can find suicide, be it rich or poor or miserable, a young or an old person, anyone that has been through these experiences. One thing that is common to any of them is the pain, is the desperation of getting out of that state of mind that brings don't let them have peace, don't let them have hope of any kind. And then when it says having hope of a better life, if you believe that here is where everything is bad, and if you kill yourself, you go to be with God, you go to be with somebody who passed away that you love dearly, then you think you'll be free from that pain. And once you think in this way, you stop seeing the opportunity that life is. Because once we are here, we have all the opportunity we've been waiting for, that have been programmed, that have taken place with not just me and my parents and my family, but the rest of the world that have to be in place and doing everything that has been planned. So I can go through school, work, places where I live, people I relate to, even the bus driver that's going to drive me from place to place. Everything has been planned.
Okay.
And if I give up that, I'm giving up the best chance I'm having.
Best chance we're having for what?
For developing myself.
Developing what?
Myself.
Developing what?
Virtues.
Virtues such as?
Conquering my place back into God, because I run away from God, and that's what causes me pain.
Precisely. So conquering my space back within the center of the universe, which is love, which comes from God. So which kind of virtues are we about to learn on earth? Let's imagine that we are dealing, that someone may consider to commit suicide, to go back to the spiritual world, to meet the partner. what do I, as immortal being, who is in this situation in the flesh, ask to learn? Or what did I ask to learn? We said virtues, yes, but which kind of virtue?
Obedience.
Obedience.
Resignation.
Obedience and resignation in relation to God's or the universe's laws, for sure, because it's not down to me when my dear ones depart from earth, when they go back. It depends God's will when He calls. We are all in the road of going back, but we don't know the position. So if a dear one goes back before me, that is God's will, and it's down to me to resignate myself and carry on, value my life, carry on learning, carry on investing in the rest of the time that is available to me here.
Yeah.
Which other virtue are we in this situation?
Patience.
Patience, for sure. Again, because if we want to do it the way, we are very controlling. And we want to learn to develop the control on the self level, which is love. When we do that, I don't know what God's will is, but I do know that He always have, His will is always towards the goodness of everyone.
Yeah.
Yes. What other virtue in this situation? Resignation, obedience, patience, faith.
Because once I don't accept that, I want to rule for God.
Yeah.
You are God, you can bring back that person, or you can give me this, what I want, what I need.
Mm-hmm.
You can do this for me if you really love me. But it's not that God who has to love me. He already loves me.
And
I'm
if
the
I
one
have
who has to
this
love
belief
myself.
system, if I have this belief system, what is that telling about me? Oh God, bring my dear one back if you love me. What is that telling about me? Would it be right in saying my immaturity?
Mm-hmm.
My immaturity. Also my pride and selfishness and all of these that goes together. My lack of understanding how the natural laws which we bring within, how they are guided by the creator of the universe. And also it refers to my attachment through my immaturity on people. Because if they go, I cannot live my life, which is wrong. We need to learn to live our lives as unique beings in the universe, because we are all in the progress process in order to learn to administrate the universe. Can we imagine that? Today we have difficulty to administrate our own belief system, but this is the way forward. This is the way forward.
When I used to think, what is the purpose of life? Why do I have to come here and do everything wrong and then come back to do it again and may do it wrong again and keep coming back? Why don't God just do something for me instead of letting me, going through these phases and failing and keep coming back all of this time? And then when I study and I saw that we are co-creators, and then I thought, okay, how am I going to do anything if I don't know how it's done? So I have to learn it my way,
Yes.
Not because God wishes or not. I exist and the laws are here, and if I undone them, I have to redo them because I need to use them.
I need to learn the
I need to
correct way.
learn the right way to use this. I need this. It's not God who needs.
Yes.
I am the one who needs
Yes.
it.
And
So that's why I'm the one who have to come and choose the right way, because then I will know it.
And what do we need to develop in order to follow the right way, so that we stop the reincarnation, keep on doing the same thing? Because then we are increasing our pains. Through the resistance of the invitations for us to carry on to do what we asked to do. And we come back and always choose the wrong way. When it's time to position ourselves, we go to the wrong track again. Why? What is the invitation? What is the major purpose to come back following your reasoning? Is to learn to develop what? What do we need to develop in order to free ourselves from this reincarnation? Reincarnation always commit the same mistakes, always do the same choices.
So many things, but the most of them I think is pride. We are so proud of doing our way, control everything. So, and we keep doing the wrong way. That's our way.
Yes, but if you choose to keep on the wrong way, which is our way, and it's based on our personal interests, I do what I want to do, what are we exercising in doing that? which leads us to come back once more, or free will in an irresponsible way. If you want to break free from these painful experiences, we are invited to develop the free will in a responsible way. It's no longer as I want, it's as God wants. Yeah. That is the way that we free ourselves from this painful system. Because as children as we are, rebellious, we always consider, we have that said by the enlightened being. The root is pride and selfishness, is always what I want, and I know what is best, and then it's based on the personal interest. And the personal interest leads us to the selfishness, and personal interest and selfishness leads us to the material level of living. And then the hours go by, then the days go by, and when we realize, hey, come back. And then I'm free from my body, and then I look at what I did, carry on working for money, carry on value what is on earth, but I cannot take with me. And all the opportunities that the universe presented to me to promote me, I said, I don't have time, I cannot do, not available. I have excuses. Is that making sense? So we came back now to exercise our free will in a responsible way. Understand the responsible way to activate the divine within, to stimulate the potentials, the virtues, the real values in life. That's what we came to do.
The difficulty with that is not just choosing to redo, is learning to do the right choices at the right times and doing it the right way. Yes. Because we start from the beginning, we're born empty, and we start from there, so we can have a chance to do different. And still, every single step we have a choice, we choose with our own old patterns.
Because of the free will, as we mentioned. Because if we are conscious or not, we are losing free will. The solution will be, as more as we understand the natural laws, that helps us to understand, to become more conscious. What are the scripts that we are validating on the back of our minds? Which means, what are the concepts and values that are being centers and centers on my unconscious mind, which predominates on my behaviors and my choices? So they need to be made conscious so that I can have the choice to change them.
Yeah. Because time to time, I think about my life, and I think I've learned in the spiritual world, and I ask it for everything the way I received here. And then I go back into this lifetime, and I think, when was that I started making the wrong choices? Was it when I was 5, 7, 10, 12? When did I completely make all the wrong choices instead of at least one right choice? And why I did that, if I asked for that opportunity in the way it has been presented to me? Why do I keep finding out what I'm doing wrong and I don't change the pattern? I don't follow a different way. And in this time, I have to bring to my consciousness that I am learning, and I have to be patient with myself, although I have to be firm and look for what is that is stronger in me, which is most times difficult for us to find, for us to really see, because we are afraid to look at ourselves.
And also it's pointless to look back. In which stage, 3, 5, 7, 10, did I do something wrong? First, if we analyze ourselves as immortal beings, around 7 years, we are completing our reincarnation. So before that, we are completing. Then we start this phase that we go through, which is very ego-centered. And then we go through the adolescent phase, which is, gosh, only God can save us from that phase. And then we enter adult, then we are just focused on money, 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 money. And then later on, well. But now we are learning, really, as more the children come back, the new generation, they are more aware, they are bringing already more the real values in their minds. And we also, as we are in the flesh in this instance, don't waste the time looking back, focus in the present. We cannot do anything about our existence focusing back, but we can do a lot in the present. How? Studying and self-studying and reflecting and seeing what are our major challenges, and then choose bit by bit, invest in the present. That still will make a difference by the end of our existence.
Yeah.
Yes.
think choice can be understood in different ways, because it's even when you make a choice to do this or that, how people understand it, you make a choice to do left, you go left, you go right. In fact, for myself, it's even the left and right is a mechanical behavior. It's about accepting what is there. And when that acceptance goes down to the emotional level, then there's a natural response, which is not governed by the mechanical mind. So it's not like I have to choose. It chooses because it's absorbed in the right way, not just from within. So I think when people say, how come I'm not making the right choice, it's because it hasn't been processed emotionally. So whatever choice that you make until that's happened, it's still going to be outside of that pattern. It's still going to be within that pattern. It's not going to be something new.
The way that we understand, we are in a process of progress, that we are activating our ability to think. And our ability to think means the ability to discern. And that, of course, we who are at the beginning of the journey, we still will change quite a lot our references, what is right and wrong. But as more as we learn to think and understand the natural laws, we still are making choices. But now, from now onwards, at least, hopefully we all can engage more in that, is on the conscious level. It is no longer on the mechanical level. The mechanical is when it's more on the unconscious level, which we are not participating consciously. When it's on a conscious level, we are interacting, we are co-creators in this process.
I think listening to him, I used to think this way, that I'm already am, and I choose automatically, and I couldn't change that. And studying and coming to understand that, yes, that's what I'm here for, to learn in a different way and to consciously make choices and be responsible for them, whatever the outcome is. And to understand that sometimes I will make a right choice and it won't feel right. It will feel wrong because I'm coming out of a wrong path. And I'm expecting something to feel right, and it will feel wrong because it's the right choice. And then I have to keep on living on that and being conscious of what I'm choosing. And even if it's coming something I wasn't expecting, to be conscious of what I'm going to do and how I'm going to deal with what is being presented to me in a way that I understand it, I'm choosing. And whatever is going to come with that choice, I can't control, but I can do the best of it.
Yes, and the mechanical way as it has been presented, when we start to redo our journey, or let's say to re-educate ourselves as we are learning, when we train a new habit or a new way of being or a new behavior, how does it sound at the beginning? Awful. Mechanical. Is a lie. A lot of people say, when it's a lie, then I say that. I say, of course, it's a lie on a conscious level because we're starting to bring in this new reference. So we need to carry on understanding that it takes time, that we that sinks in, that becomes part of ourselves. So the beginning is not comfortable. It sounds awful. It sounds mechanical. It sounds not real. It sounds a lie. All of these we need to be facing and helping us to understand the process, because we are. It sounds like we are in a process of remolding ourselves. Yeah?
I don't think we choose what happens in our life. We choose the attitude we take when things happen. And then from that, there can be some choice. But I don't know what's going to happen when I leave this building. I think I know. It's an assumption. But the fact is, I don't know. That's the fact. So I'm not in control of what is happening in my life, but where I receive it, how I receive it, and respond to it, that is, to me, say a choice, not what happens.
No, we don't have control of the external, but we're referring, thinking is internal. That we learn to activate the inner wisdom, the natural laws that we bring within. That is the purpose to be in through the law of reincarnation. We are not here to be passive and everything happens for us. We don't need to do anything, because then we wouldn't be able to be here. There's no reason for that. We are talking about the inner choices that we learn to activate our thinking process and re-educate our emotions. I don't know, you are right, neither do I know what happens there. But I can learn what I feed myself mentally, internally. As more as that is adjusted according to the natural laws of life, doesn't matter what happened to me out there, which I don't have control, I still will be more and more in connection with the natural laws. Is that making sense? Yeah, okay. So we came to the end here, yes? Then we move on now to the 951 question. Would you like to read it for us, please?
Isn't the sacrifice of one's life sometimes meritorious when it is made in order to save the lives of others, or to be useful to one's neighbor?
Okay, let's explore the question. As we mentioned previously, each question under this subtitle is referring to a specific point for us on Earth. What is this question now about?
I think it's asking if someone commits suicide to save someone else's life, is it worth it? Is it looked in a good way? Because the person may not be thinking, oh, I'm going to kill myself, but I'm going to save this person, like a father jumping into a river to save a son, or a neighbor going to a house of fire to find someone in there to rescue them. So you're not thinking that I'm doing this, but you did kill yourself because you made that choice to do that. It may not have been conscious, but your purpose wasn't taking out your life, was saving.
Okay, if that is useful, isn't it? The question is, let's see what we learn through the answer. There is Spirit tells, in accordance with such intention, it is sublime, and such a sacrifice of life is therefore not a suicide. Is that clear? Why is it, according to this intention, sublime?
Because one is giving out what has most valued in order to try save someone else.
Yes, and following that,
valuing life is not devaluing.
Precisely. Could we also refer it is sublime because we are quite detached on personal issues? Yes, it is a freeing process. However, God opposes a meaningless sacrifice and cannot look upon it with pleasure if it is tarnished by pride. So, of course, pride means we have our own personality. It's about me, to be recognized, to be, or whatever, validated, then it's different. The intentions are different. A sacrifice is not meritorious unless it is selfless. Here we are touching. What is that little phrase referring to? A sacrifice is not meritorious unless it is selfless. What does it mean?
This comes to a huge stage of humanity. Once one is capable of such an act, to be selfless enough to give up everything without thinking, without any attachments to pride or to anything, just because you can give, just because you choose to help, to do that.
How can someone reach that level? I was just how can someone
selfless?
Yes, how can we reach that level?
You have to know your immortality.
Ah.
You have to know that.
Okay.
That your nature is immortal, not just thinking.
Okay.
Then it's not the same.
Need to know it on the emotional level? Is that what you're saying?
Then it has to be known on all levels.
Because knowing only here, I'm immortal being. But when it comes to time, no, if I jump, yeah. So I hold back on the emotional level. Would I be also right in saying, correct what you said, but also through the process of progress as we are evolving, and evolving means that we are developing on emotional intelligence. The development of emotional intelligence means developing love, and love is inner freedom. Would that also mean selfless? Yes.
It's far away what to say, but I think
But can you
we have an idea, some light coming somewhere.
There was an incident recently, a few months ago, I think, a guy, he willingly went into somewhere to save some people, knowing that he was contrary teachings.
Okay.
So it's not so rare. This is the same thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Some people already on earth, they are much more evolved than the majority of us, and they have that, because really love, the real love, when we learn, I know, and I would agree with you, it sounds a foreign language for us, but the real love is inner freedom. We are not attached to single people, and the real love coming from the Creator that unites us with this movement of selflessness, which we are just available to do good and to be available for that resource.
And, sorry, I think what it means is some people sacrifice, but if you look at the answer, they say if you're not selfless, because you're looking for be recognized through the media or something, so it's not selfless. So it's, or just because it are my blood, it's my son, so then I do, but it's not.
That is selfishness.
Yes, it's still, but it's not the way you say about love.
No,
it's still.
But we do have some examples like this of selfless, like the man went to the cave to save the boys a while ago. He knew he wouldn't be able to come back. He knew he could maybe fight his way until get there, but he was sure he wouldn't be able to make it out of it. And still he did what he could. And he had his family, he had everything, and to make that choice for others.
That is what Barbara said. It's not mind blood. Then we are beyond the physicality.
Yeah.
We are more within the universal fraternity, which again is love. That is love. Just to finalize.
Oh,
So that's the last one, which says, unfortunately, those who make such a sacrifice sometimes have ulterior motives, and this decreases its value in God's sight. That is just what you have been saying, isn't it? If you were to translate, they are referring to our intentions. In order to be selfless, or egocentric intentions need to be enlightened. And then we change those intentions more on, as I mentioned, on the universe, on the fraternal universal level, that we are all brothers and sisters, we are all under the same movement of goodness. There is no longer these barriers that we create, family and race and color. No, we are all brothers and sisters. We are all beings who deserve to be cared and loved. And in that way, we are coming to the end today. And as always, we carry on then with our final reflections. In these final moments, in this ambient of peace, enlighten our minds and hearts, as immortal beings as we all are, on the journey of progress, evolving day by day, becoming more and more conscious of ourselves as divine beings as we all are in essence. Becoming more and more aware of the natural laws in the universe, understanding that all the reasons of dissatisfaction are values which manifest our disconnections from God, and we can choose to reevaluate them, to actualize them, and choosing to respect life, respecting ourselves, respecting others, and in that way becoming beings who are more enlightened, more loving, more peaceful, as we carry on learning as brothers and sisters in humanity. May we always develop hope from within, find consolation within, because we are essentially beings of goodness and beings of love, guided by dear ones who deeply love us. Doesn't matter what we did and where we are. The love that comes from God guides us all, everywhere where we are, today, tomorrow, and always. So be it.
Sorry? Was it? It's a little one, but it always works.
Yeah, it was good.
Yes, it
Too
doesn't.
much can't be done.
Precisely. Yes, we have them, the articles usually very short. And
Every month,
now it comes out.
every 2 months.
Change of
Every
reason.
month.
Yes.